To Sanet and the Diamond Ladies, I do apologize. It's James that I wasn't able to attend the group coaching call on Monday. That being said, this is a topic that's very close to my heart in the form of validation. And so I wanted to put together a presentation for you. And I hopefully you get something from it. Hopefully you have a new perspective around validation, something that can really help you in your life. So let's dive into the presentation. Let me share my screen. Okay, so the topic of the presentation is validation, and the title is Self-Validation, the Key to Stepping into Your Authentic Self. Now, I absolutely love this topic, and so it's very easy for me to talk about it because it's had such a big impact in my life, and hopefully I want to be able to deliver the same thing for yourselves. So let's start this off with a quote. It's a quote by Dr. Steve Maraboli, and the quote is, "The only permission and the only validation and the only opinion that matters in our quest for greatness is our own." Okay. Now, in this presentation, what I don't want to do is I don't want to give you any incantations, positive affirmations, any law of attraction. I'm not going to give you any mindset hacks or anything like that. I'm not going to ask you to visualize things, meditate, use NLP strategies, or any other airy-fairy mindset tactics out there. I want to give you something tangible. I want to give you something that you can take away from today and use, something very practical that you can use in your life right now. And I want you to have a completely different paradigm, an empowering paradigm that stays with you for the rest of your life. That's my mission with this presentation. Equally, I want to make sure that we have a bit of fun here. I'm not with you live. I'd love to be with you live, engaging and asking questions. But let's dive into it. Let's dive into it, and we'll break it down. So I'm not sure how much Sanet has actually mentioned to you about my background, but just a brief little summary here. So my name's James. I'm an ex-healthcare professional here in the UK. So I worked for 10 years in the NHS, which is the National Health Service. I started life as a pharmacist, and then I transitioned into being a medical prescriber. So here in the UK, you don't have to be a doctor to prescribe medication. You can actually go back and do a second master's degree and have those qualifications. And that's what I did. So in that time frame, I spoke with, counseled, diagnosed, treated, and cared for hundreds, if not thousands of patients from all sorts of backgrounds with all sorts of medical conditions. You know, here I said anxiety, so acne to anxiety, diabetes to depression, heart disease to hypothyroidism, polymyalgia to PSD, basically everything under the sun. I finally settled and I specialized actually in mental health and chronic illness. Now, that being said, in that time, I also had my own problems. I had my own battles with addiction, anxiety, depression, chronic depression, suicidal thoughts, not to mention chronic fatigue, gut problems, all sorts of things, you know, that I was dealing with. And at one point I was just living day to day. You know, I was taking my antidepressants, I was taking self-prescribed drugs as well, just to help me get through the day. I was addicted to alcohol, addicted to social media, pornography, all of these things that were really keeping me in a very dark place. Now, I did seek help. I was working with multiple therapists, counselors, mindset coaches, and I wasn't really getting anywhere, right? Until one particular therapist introduced me to a book called The Chimp Paradox by Dr. Stephen Peters. Now, for those of you who haven't read the book, it's essentially a book showing you how the human mind works and why we react with stress and fear. And that was the trigger for me. That was the trigger down the road of self-development, because I realized that all of these things that I was trying to use to try and help my situation wasn't working. So there was another answer out there, and that lied in my ability to be able to help myself. And that's become my life's mission, is to help people do the same. Now, in 2020, I actually left my career in healthcare. My son was due to be born. And at that point in my life, I knew I needed to do more. I knew that 10 minutes in a consultation with a patient, giving them some drugs that wasn't really helping them, it wasn't really changing their lives, wasn't good enough. And that I could have a deeper, more meaningful impact in people's lives by actually stepping away from the healthcare system and working as a mindset coach, which is what I do right now. And that changed everything for me. That was the biggest decision in my life, and it was the best decision in my life. Like, I'm not going to say it was easy. And for those of you who have your own business, or you know someone who started their own business, it's extremely difficult. And there were ups and downs, not to mention becoming a new parent, which for those of you who are parents, big respect to you. I didn't realize what sleep deprivation would do to my body, to my life. But my son is 2, and I couldn't be happier right now. And right now, I get to do things like this. This is my day to day. I get to do presentations to incredible people like yourselves. I get to work where I want, when I want, to get paid whatever I want. And it's just a beautiful place to be. And that wouldn't be possible without validation, which is why I'm so inspired to talk about this subject, because it changed my life. And I want that to happen for you today as well. So just a disclaimer with this, the lessons I'm going to teach you today are slightly different. You might not have heard them before. And that being said, I just need to make you aware that this is just a perspective. I'm not saying this is the only way of doing things. I'm not saying this is the only way to help people. It's just a perspective, and it's my perspective. However, this perspective has helped hundreds of people, hundreds of my clients, of my patients, achieve fulfillment and finally, achieve levels of success in their business, relationships, their health that they couldn't get before with other strategies. And it's helped them move out of struggle and stress and mediocrity into empowerment, into mastery, and into success. And that's exactly what I want for you. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer in there. Now let's dive into it. So what do we mean by validation? I think if I was to stop 100 different people and ask them what they believe validation is, they'd probably come up with a different answer for all of those things. So let's look at the meaning and the origins of the word validation. So if you look at the Oxford Dictionary, it would say validation is the feeling that other people approve and accept you for who you are, or the recognition and affirmation that a person or their feelings or opinions are valid or worthwhile. So this is tied very closely with self-worth and something Sanet loves, which is self-love, right? This ability to love oneself and accept oneself. But validation is usually seeking approval from someone else. But if we look at the origin of the word, so this is the etymology of the word validation. So it comes from validate and valid. So medieval Latin, to make valid, and then valid is having force in law or legally binding. So essentially, seeking validation is the desire to have someone else's approval or agreement with what you say, believe, or do. Okay, now why is this important? So I want to give you a little personal example from my life. Maybe some of you can resonate with this, or you can apply it to something that you've been through in your time. So my example relates to alcohol. Okay, so from the age of 16 up until my late 20s, I believe, until I was an adult with full responsibilities and jobs, wife, family, house, and all of that, right? I had let's say, an interesting relationship with alcohol. Okay, so to begin with, it was pretty harmless. It was, you're 16, 17. It's that coming of age time when you start going out. You're into. Well, at that point, I was into girls. I was into sport. There was nothing really else going on in my life. So drinking was the thing to do, right? All of my friends were doing it. So who am I to say that I'm not going to do it, right? I didn't have the strength inside to say no to something that I knew possibly wasn't going to be helping me. I just did it because everyone else was. And there's an important point here, which is validation has built into it this internal evolutionary survival mechanism, if you like. We're social creatures. And so it's part of our biology and our evolution to want to fit in with the crowd. Why? Because if you ever look at these documentaries on animals, you'll notice that the ones that aren't part of the group are usually the ones that don't survive, right? They're the ones that get picked off by the predators. And that's built into our DNA, right? So we want to fit in. We want to be seen and heard and felt. And that's an important part of this. Now, I really struggled with my confidence. When I was a kid, I was very overweight. I was very quiet. I was very apprehensive. I was very nervous. And even though I put on this fake persona of being confident, right? Being the guy, deep down, I just didn't feel like I was good enough. I felt like a weirdo. I felt like I wasn't special or popular like some of the other kids I hung around with. And so I would drink and I would just do things that other people did. And we would just go out on the weekend and we would just keep drinking until we passed out, right? And so this problem kind of carried on. I did it from sort of early age, went to university. At that time, I didn't get into the degree I wanted and I pursued pharmacy instead. And so I spent most of my time feeling bad about myself, feeling crappy about my life, and just spending my time socializing, going out with friends, playing rugby, and just drinking copious amounts of alcohol. Like I've said here that I spent most of my student loan on snakebite, which for those of you who don't know what snakebite is, it's cider mixed with beer, mixed with blackcurrant squash or cordial. Like it sounds pretty disgusting. It was at the time. I was like, we just drink 10 pints a night of that and just pass out somewhere. And this was a norm for me. And this was something I used to do every weekend. So I'd spend all that money and I would just drink until I passed out somewhere. And then I'd probably get in trouble with the police. I actually spent my 21st birthday in prison, right? Because I was in a very bad place and I just drank too much and I was causing problems. And so this was a really big issue for me. And so every Sunday I'd say the same thing. And I'm sure you've said the same, where you have a couple of drinks and then you're like, I'm never drinking again, right? I'm never doing this ever again. I feel terrible. And that happened every week on repeat. And that was really impacting my life. It affected my relationship, my health, not to mention my money and how much I was spending. It was a big, big problem. And so why was it so difficult for me to change this problem? And the issue was that when I drank alcohol, I felt like a different version of me. I felt like I was finally liked by people and I fitted in. I felt like I was the center of attention and the guy that everyone looked to, the guy that did these crazy things. And so ultimately, when I drank alcohol, I no longer felt worthless. I no longer felt shy. I don't feel like I was the quiet kid. I felt like I was valid. And that is the power of validation. So let's unpackage that, because I want to address it, because it wasn't until I changed my relationship with validation that I changed this habit. And now I don't drink. Well, I will occasionally, but a glass of wine or something, but I don't need to drink. I don't hang around with the same people. And it completely changed my life. And so I want that message to come across to you, because perhaps you've been through dark times. Perhaps you've had issues. Perhaps you go to dopamine fixes just to make you feel better. Perhaps you let other people walk over you because you just want to feel valid and you don't feel valid within yourself. So let's unpackage validation for a second. Now, with validation, it has layers. Okay, so let's look at Maslow's hierarchy, because it can put a message across better than I can. So with Maslow's hierarchy, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For those of you who are not aware of it, Maslow was a sociologist, philosopher, and really an expert in human behavior. And so he said that there are certain stages that we need met before we're able to evolve as a species, able to evolve as a human, and able to evolve in terms of our conscious evolution. And so at the very bottom level of Maslow's hierarchy, we have our physical needs. Water, shelter, food are basically what we need to survive. Beyond that, we need safety and security. That's where money comes in. That's where housing comes in. And beyond that, we need love, belonging. That is being accepted by the social group. And then beyond that, we also have self-esteem. And then finally, self-actualization or transcendence or principle. If we're looking at Kohlberg's hierarchy of needs as well. So principle would be at the top. And so most people operate from these lower levels every day, okay? And in order to truly transcend, and in order to truly become the author of your life, you need to be able to move past these levels into self-actualization, which is where self-love is as well, okay? So most people operate from the lower levels, and this is where validation comes in. So as I mentioned before, the desire to fit in and be part of the group, that's the herd mentality. There's a great book on this called The Study of the Popular Mind, The Crowd, The Study of a Popular Mind. I do recommend it. So why does it happen? Why do we have this desire to want to fit in? Well, it is a basic human need. And so often at times, we know that we can eat, we know that we can get water, we kind of know we've got somewhere to live. And most of us are having a form of income, whether it's in a job, a business, maybe the government's giving you money. You know that those things are kind of met, but what's not met is your level of belonging to a crowd, to a group, to a community, to a society, to a family even. And so that then becomes such a big component of this. And often, we operate from this place where we need to seek validation to want to fit in because it's a human desire, it's a human need. So let me address something called pedestals and pits, because this is going to really change the way that you look at validation. So whenever we are seeking external validation, be it in the form of approval from someone else, right, another individual, okay, or maybe we're seeking validation from achieving a certain status, social status, a certain amount of money, if you like, or income, or a certain way we look. What we're doing is we don't feel good about ourselves, so we need to feel good by having something outside of us make us feel good. Okay, this is the pedestal effect. What we're doing is we're sacrificing our own true nature by putting someone or something above us on the pedestal, if you like. And whenever we put someone or something above us, we simultaneously minimize ourselves. So we quiet down our own inner voice, and we're no longer being authentic as we try to live according to them. Okay, so what do I mean by them? Parents, friends, partners, teachers, preachers, if you're, if you have a sort of spiritual background, a religious background, your employers, your friends, the people you look up to on social media, the coaches, the mentors, the people who basically you seem like, okay, they've got their shit together. Those guys, right? The ones that you look at them and you say, oh, I wish I had that life. Those are the guys you have on pedestals because you're putting them above you. And so anytime we place something or someone above us, we seek validation from those things in order to feel worthy about ourselves. I'm going to say that again. We seek validation from those things in order to feel worthy. And in doing so, we give away a part of ourselves and we're no longer authentic. Now, the same thing can happen in reverse, okay? And the universe exists in a duality. You cannot have a positive without a negative because they're two sides of the same coin. The same with moral, good or bad. The same for success and happiness, and success and failure and happiness and sadness. You have two sides. It's like a magnet, right? I can't cut a magnet in half and just have one positive pole and one negative pole. I'll just have two different magnets, all right? You have to have both sides. So when you have pedestals, you also have pits. And so the opposite of a pedestal is a pit. Now, when you put someone in a pit, it's basically when you judge them or resent them. And I know we all have this because it's human nature. So there are people that we put below us, right? People that we look down on and we think, okay, they don't know as much as me, or they're not as good as me, or they're not as nice as me, or they're not as kind as me, or they're not as good looking as me, right? That's putting someone in a pit, all right? And when we put someone in a pit, we simultaneously put ourselves above them, okay? Thinking we know more, or we have more, or we're more valid than them. And so when we put someone in a pit, we're too proud to admit that what we're seeing in them, we actually have in ourselves. And when we put someone on a pedestal, we're too humble to admit that what we see in them, we also have inside us. And so I have a little thought experiment for you and something I want you to do in the future. I want you to have a think about the next time you're judging someone. So maybe you see someone and either you're judging them because they have something you don't. Okay, so maybe it's physical and they look beautiful. Maybe it's that they have loads of money, right? Or they have a great relationship. I want you to look at what you're judging in them, and I want you to find it in your life. So if it's the money that they have that you're putting them on a pedestal, where do you have money in your own form? Because whatever you see in them, the only reason it's triggering you is because you haven't owned it in yourself. At the same time, if you're judging someone negatively, and maybe it's the way they look, okay? Or maybe it's a tramp on the side of the street and he looks poor and he's asking people for money. Or maybe it's that someone was being, rude to you. Look at whatever the judgment is that you're judging in them, because the only reason why it's there and why you're judging in them is because it's representing a part of you. You judge yourself for being rude. You judge yourself for asking for handouts. Okay, so I want you to use this mirror effect in your life as a thought experiment. Anything you judge in someone else is a reflection of something you're not owning in yourself. So how do you stop yourself from doing this? How do you stop yourself seeking external validation for things? How do you empower yourself to listen to your own opinions, your own values, and your own inner voice, rather than giving away your personal power to something or someone on the outside? And the answer lies in self-validation. Okay, so self-validation, the key to authenticity. So what is it? Well, the foundation of self-worth, self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence are all sitting at the top of that hierarchy of needs, which is self-actualization. Okay, this is you becoming the master of your destiny, you listening to your own soul-guided, intuitive, inspired voice, rather than having or needing anything outside of you to feel worthy. You, my friends, are the masters of your destiny. Whether you believe this or not, you're the one in control of your life. You are the creator of your reality. And sometimes this is a bit difficult for people to believe or accept, because where you are right now in your life, whether it is your psychology, your finances, where you are socially, where you are physically in your body and your health, where you are in your business or in your spirituality, that is being created by you. Nobody has created that. You have created that. Okay. And this is a level of acceptance and a level of responsibility, because we can't change until we accept where we currently are. And many people have forgotten who they really are. You are an infinite, intelligent, conscious being. You are beyond perfection. You are beyond incredible. You are a genius. And you're on Earth for a reason. And you're on Earth to play the Earth game. Now, the Earth game is the ultimate game of life. And that is becoming the conscious creator, becoming the master creator, becoming who you were meant to be, and rediscovering your true, authentic self. I think so many mindset strategies out there give you something to do. They add something in. They tell you, you need to do this. You need to change these beliefs and you go and do this. No, my mindset work is a process of untangling what's already there, rediscovering just how incredible you actually are, just how valid you are. Because, ladies, the validity is always there. It's just sitting there waiting for it to come out. It's just that we think we need something outside of us to make ourselves feel valid. It's about remembering who you truly are, because you are the one that you've been looking for the whole time. I know that was true for me. I was looking for something or someone to make me feel better, some drug, some monetary amount, some changing career, something to make me feel good, when actually everything I needed was already sitting there. Okay. Now, your ability to be able to transcend the externals, to transcend the opinions of other people and the values of other people and the beliefs of other people, will determine where you are playing this game of life, and will also determine where you are in terms of how you can transcend those things. That's why the term is called transcendence. You're transcending the voices and the opinions of other people. Okay. You're transcending the need to fit in here so that you can develop self-love, self-esteem, and that you can achieve self-actualization, which is an ongoing process for every single one of us. Now, I put some books here for you, so you can take a screenshot. These are just books that I have found in my life that have made a big impact and really touch upon this subject of self-actualization and the power of transcendence. Now, before I finish this presentation, I want to give you something practical. Okay, I want to give you some action tips. I want to give you something that you can actually do today that's going to massively change your life. Okay, so I want you to pay attention, and I want you to take notes, and I want you to follow this process. You know, give yourself about an hour to do this. It's a very profound process. It's a very profound realization that you're going to come to when you complete this process. Okay, so I want you to do, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to pick an individual. Okay, maybe 3 individuals ideally, but just pick the individuals that you're looking up to the most in your life. So maybe it's someone you know on social media. Well, you don't even have to know them, but somebody you look up to on social media, a coach, a mentor, someone who you think, yeah, they've got their shit together, right? Someone who you think, wow, their life's incredible, they're amazing. You know, maybe a celebrity, maybe a family member, maybe a friend. Okay, just someone that you know, I wish I had their life. Okay, and pick 3 of them, right? That's the first job. Now, the second job, I want you to list for each of those individuals, I want you to list 3 traits that they have that you're looking up to and admiring. Okay, now these could be physical traits. They could be that their body's so fit, or they're nice and slim, or they're really pretty, or they've got great hair. Okay, whatever it is, a physical trait. It could also be a character trait. Okay, maybe they're very ambitious, confident, disciplined, courageous, or intelligent. Maybe it's something they do. Okay, so maybe they run 3 times a week. Maybe they share their message on social media. Maybe they're incredibly confident and well-spoken in front of camera. Maybe they are very switched on when it comes to money and switched on with investing and shares, and they've got a lot of wealth. Maybe maybe it's their relationship, some trait in their relationship that you're admiring. Maybe it's something they just don't do. Maybe they're really calm, collected. Maybe they just don't smoke. They don't do drinking. They're really self-assured. Whatever it is, I want you to come up with the 3 things that you're admiring in that person the most. All right. So we've got 3 people and 3 things for each. So 9 things that we're admiring. Now, the first job is I want you to level the playing field. I want you to take the power that they have over you in terms of what they have that you think you don't have. And I want you to own it. Okay. I want you to list as many ways that you have displayed exactly the same thing in your life in your own form. Now, straight away, a lot of people will say, James, I don't have that. That person's got $1 million. I don't have it. And I would say, okay, well, let's look for it. Where do you have $1 million in your own form? Is it in your intellectual property? So have you read tons of courses, programs, books? Have you got qualifications, degrees? And how much are all of those things worth? How much are those ideas that you have worth? Because I can bet your bottom dollar, if you don't have it in a monetary form, you've got it somewhere else. Maybe that value is in your children. Like, I can't put a price on my beautiful son. And so he's worth more to me than money could ever buy. And when I say that to you, my heart opens and I can feel it, because it's so true. I can't put a monetary amount on that. So if I'm looking at my bank and I'm looking at someone who has 100 million and I don't have 100 million, I'm like, well, where is my 100 million? Because I bet you I can find it. And so you want to do that. You want to list as many different ways as you can that you have that trait. The same thing with, let's say you're looking at someone and they've got a really fit body and you're like, James, I don't have that body. And I'm like, okay, well, where are you fit? Where are you disciplined? Where do you have, where are you healthy? Okay. Maybe it's that you go out for nice long walks. Maybe you walk the dog. Maybe you eat really nutritious, loving food. Okay. You will find it if you look for it. So I want you to list as many ways as you can until you can say, hand on heart, I own that trait. And that's going to open your heart a little bit. Okay. The next step, number 4, is I want you to clear the fantasy. So the only reason why you think this person has something you don't is because you have a fantasy, an infatuation with this thing. Okay. This thing that they have, this trait that they have. And so I want you to write out, okay, this trait that I think they have, what are the drawbacks in the form that they have it in? So what would be the drawbacks of having £1 million in their form? And then you just list the drawbacks. Have to pay loads of tax. Okay. They work all the time and don't see their family. They're anal about their money. They put themselves above other people, right? And just keep listing drawbacks of what you think that money is. Because to begin with, you think that's all sunshine and rainbows, but it's not. There are plenty of drawbacks to having that amount of money. Same with the fit body. What are the drawbacks to that form? Her form or his form of that fit body. And it could be the fact that they spend so much time in the gym that they sacrifice time with their children, or they sacrifice time with their loved ones, or they can't rest. All of these drawbacks to the form that you think is amazing. And then finally, I want you to empower yourself. So find the benefits to the form that you have it in. And now this process is very, very important, because when you do this final step, you'll realize that nothing is missing in this world. Everything is perfect. What you think you saw and what you think you need, you don't, because the form that you're having in is serving you right now in your highest values and the things that are most important to you. And this will open your heart. And usually if you do this process properly and you list as many as you can until you can feel it inside that you have owned the trait, that you have seen that there are drawbacks in the form that you were looking up to and had on the pedestal. And when that pedestal collapses and you bring yourself out of the pit, you will have tears of gratitude, because you will finally have your authentic self. You will finally have self-love, self-appreciation, self-worth, and self-validity. And that, my friends, is a process that I want you to do. It's a process I've been through many times. I take many clients through this process, and it's only one of many other processes to help you achieve that self-actualization, that self-validation, and that self-love. So I hope that was valuable. Take notes, and I really, really encourage you to follow that process. And I just want you to remember, ladies, that you are valid. You're more than valid. And if you follow this process, it will not only change the way that you look and think about these individuals in your life, but it will open your heart to the role that they play in your life as well. You will leave this process with a deep sense of gratitude for them and for yourself, a profound realization of just how powerful you are, and an entirely new paradigm for the way that you see yourself and the world around you. You, my friend, are worthy. You, my friend, are valid. You, my friend, are beautiful, inspirational. You are perfect in every way. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. You just need to go out there and get it, because that's exactly what you deserve. So to the beautiful ladies inside Diamond Ladies, I want to just say thank you so much for allowing me to come in here and share this presentation with you and be able to serve you as well. And I hope it was valuable. I just want to end with this quote from one of my mentors called Dr. John DeMartini. And it is that you are the master of your destiny, or you are a victim of your past, and it's your choice. And so, ladies, become the master of your destiny, become the author of your story, become everything that you are meant to be, because you are valid. And I can't wait to connect with you in the future. And if you do want to hear more about what I'm doing, how I help people, then you could reach out to me here on socials at James L. Dean. You can email me at james@mindify.org if you want to share any takeaways, or you want to ask me any questions, or perhaps you just want to dive into this work a bit deeper. And finally, I have a website which is being built right now. It's being redeveloped, called mindify.org. Mindify is the name of my company. So that being said, thank you to Sanet, thank you to the Diamond Ladies, and I wish you a beautiful evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Jackie, are you okay to go first?
I am okay. Let me just put the sound a little bit softer. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Because I'm struggling to hear you, Sanet, so I will listen to the first part of the recording again.
Okay.
Right, so yeah, let's hope everything works out, because we've got a terrible storm this side. So a lot of rain and wind. Right, but Sanet, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about validation. And I know we spoke about it quite a while ago. I think it's about 3 months ago you gave me the topic, and then everything just fell into place over the last couple of weeks. So before we talk about validation, let's first understand, what does validation mean? It is the need for recognition or affirmation that the person or their feelings or their opinions are valid or worthwhile. Or alternatively, the desire to have someone else's approval or agreement with what you say, believe, or do. We are all naturally social creatures. We love socializing. Some of us more than others. Some are introverts, some are extroverts. But we thrive in community, and therefore we have a strong desire to belong. You may think that it's perfectly normal, and it actually is. However, where things get blurry is when we seek approval or validation for all our decisions, our purpose, or our daily activities. Do the following sound familiar, specifically to us as women? When we go out with our friends, don't we often ask them, what are you going to wear? When we are at the restaurant for dinner or supper, what are you having? What are you eating? As if we don't have a voice. And sometimes when we make a decision, we ask our families or our friends the usual question, do you think that's a good idea? I've been working all my life in a corporate environment, and because of me working in traditionally a man's world, especially for the last 7 years in the security environment, I always wanted to validate myself. I already know that the idea is good. I have been appointed for my skills, my competencies, my abilities, but still I looked for recognition and validation from my seniors and my other colleagues. I had to work really hard in convincing myself that I've been appointed for my skills and what I know. I already have the know-how. Although we do value others' opinions and how they shape our perspective, we are also much more motivated by external validation than our own intuition. And we as women specifically have a very good sense of intuition. Let's look at a deeper question, and that's the why. It's called the power of outside influence. It all comes down to the idea of belonging in the world, in our community, in our circle of friends, and in our families. When we have that sense that we belong, our love for others and for ourselves skyrockets. That love fuels our self-esteem, and it also motivates us to be better and do better in the world. But that builds up to self-actualization, which is the top part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is our own ability to realize our fullest potential and develop our skills and talents. And I am convinced that we all have that ability. We all have our own skills and we have our own talents. And if we look at us as a collective, and if I check correctly, we are 12 participants on this call tonight. None of us have the same abilities, the same competencies, the same know-how. Each one of us are unique, and we will get to that now. It is our own ability to realize our fullest potential and develop our skills and our talent, which I already said. When we believe that we are worthy, that we can do it, then we have a world full of limitless possibilities. The sky becomes our limit. Or is it? Is it just a new opportunity that opens up for us? So the sky is not really our limit. It opens that list of possibilities for us. How does this connect to outside influence and validation? Maslow believes that to achieve this highest level of awareness, our basic needs must first be met. That includes things like food, like a house, water, safety, but also a sense of belonging, a sense of love, and a healthy self-esteem. Sorry, now I scrolled up too fast. It is our basic needs that are lacking, and I believe the biggest one is self-love, Sanet, and that is what you stand for. It is for self-love, and thank you for teaching that to us, that we as diamond beauties firstly need to love ourselves, because for us to stop seeking that validation, we must start loving ourselves, because if we have that self-esteem, we can stop seeking for validation. But it's not always only bad. If we don't believe in our own power, and if we turn to others for approval, it's not always bad, as I said. Our friends and our colleagues are there to support and to lift us up when we're feeling down and out. So nothing wrong with seeking support, help with specific work, but not to validate and get approval for who or what you are. There's always a very fine balance between asking for advice and depending on it to continue with our day-to-day tasks and our life. We cross that fine line when every decision, every action, everything that we do is dependent on the approval of others, albeit our family, the love of your life. Yes, we often allow our husbands to take the approval or to take the final decision. But what about us? We have different needs as women. It's definitely not a man's world. It's our world as well. When we keep on doing it, we are handing our entire life over to someone else to live it. And we become actually these minimal creatures that don't have a say anymore. Sanet and you and I have spoken a lot about it. With our husbands in our lives, we allowed it for them to make the decisions. And I'm glad to say and very proud to say that we've taken it back. Yes. What are the effects of seeking validation? If we know what it is, we can work hard on avoiding it. Remember, knowledge is power. The first thing, or the first effect, is disempowerment. You don't own your decisions and your actions anymore. You might take a decision not to when your family or friends think about idea. But how will you ever know what it would have been if you've taken that decision? And sometimes their advice is built on their experience. And not everyone's experience is necessarily a good experience. And remember, advice is never neutral. It's always based on someone else's experience or what someone told someone, and then it becomes your belief. Anxiety. Social media plays a big role, and we see it in our daily lives. How often do we go to a restaurant and people are not talking anymore? They are playing on their cell phones, they are posting what's happening in their life. And I don't say it's necessarily a bad idea. I also post from time to time. Some of us post more than others. Mandy, you are extremely good at posting. I do not post that often, but I do from time to time. But it does become a problem. If you post, you can only post and you can't talk to people about your experiences. And I often ask myself, what people post, is it real? Is it your view or is it someone else's opinion? Because once again, if it's someone else's opinion, it's just another way that you are seeking or looking for validation. The third one then is it disconnects us from listening to our own intuition. We are so busy for looking for validation that we don't listen to this inner voice that we all have. Our decisions are best left to ourselves and listen to our gut feeling when you're thinking of how to proceed. I actually have a very well-developed gut feeling or intuition, specifically at work. And my team, I've got a small team of people reporting into me, and we do a whole host of things. And they know if Yaki says that they must do something, they must do it, because the words will come true. And we've seen it. We work in a men's world. It's a hard world there. And then sometimes I will tell them, guys, make sure that you keep record of everything that you do. Keep attendance registers, make notes, send emails. When you speak to someone on the telephone, send an email afterwards. Because it turns out that the people are then doubting my team and that we need to validate ourselves. And it's not always the nicest thing to do, but it is what it is. Does all of this mean that we should never ask for our help? Absolutely no. It's all right to ask for help when we need a fresh perspective on something. Sometimes you just want to bounce an idea off someone. You already know it is the truth. But sometimes it's just good to get that other perspective as well. But we ought to be careful not to let that support become your crutch. And we often do it very quickly. Okay, I will ask every time. Do you not ask every time? Sometimes you just need to rely on yourself. And it's okay not to be okay. We are all allowed to make mistakes as long as we learn from those mistakes. How do we kick the need for validation then out of our way and thrive? Firstly, look internally. look and do some self-introspection. Are we equally receiving and giving love? Specifically as women, we opt to give love and we just give and give. But do the people on the other side give love back? We often, Sanet, and you will experience it very soon with our grandchildren. It is unconditional love that children give to you. But what other people give to you, unfortunately, it's not. And you all know that I'm blessed. I've got 3 beautiful granddaughters. And just quickly, off the topic, I just need to share, my middle one turned 4 yesterday, and we had a party for her on Saturday. And usually what we do, we clap in as a family and we buy one big present. And Saturday night, when I put her to bed, because usually when I'm there, I put him to bed, she told me, Oma, next time you need to buy me your own gift. So this Oma is going to buy a gift this week for the 2 of them, or actually the 3 of them, because the coming weekend, it's baptism weekend. The second thing that we need to do after looking internally is feed your self-esteem. Step into your own power again. Take it up. You own it. We might have to turn away some social events or circles that we are moving in. But if that people is drawing you in negatively, it's a rather good thing to stay away, because we can be self-sufficient. And then, Sanet, your favorite one, which I do not do often enough, is meditate. Meditation is sacred ground for developing your intuition and trusting what comes up. Just let it be. And that's the time when you get quiet that you will listen and learn what your inner voice tells you. If we do listen to our own internal voice, we will often get the answers. Sometimes it helps, and that's how I spoke to, just to bounce it off someone sometimes. When you speak it out loud, you actually get to the answer before that other individual can give you that answer. And this is also what meditation does. It is the vehicle to those answers. Listen for that deep intuitive nudge. It's the only validation that is worth seeking, because it is your own and not someone else. Our confidence will take a knock from time to time, and as I mentioned earlier, it's okay not to be okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. Everyone is allowed to make mistakes. Some that just hide it better than others. And others we can see because we are open books. When we realize our inner power, we can accomplish anything we set our minds to and thrive. Sanet, and your dream is coming up. I'm putting my dream together. And that's where I will start listening to my inner voice and do what I need to do. Ladies, remember, we are God's designer originals. There is no one like you on this earth. We look different. We act different. We thrive on different things. Our families look different. We've got different needs. We've got different intuitive feelings. We are what we are. And then also, if we lose everything that we have in our life, that we base our self-worth on, except on ourselves, and we lose it, on what will you base your self-worth then? Practice self-worth, and we will realize that we deserve the love and blessings that come our way. A secret I want to share with you: the next time that something comes your way, just receive it. Take it, own it. We often, when someone gives us a compliment, we make it small. Oh, it's an old this. Oh, I had this for years. Ladies, take it, Own it. It's something that someone gives to you for free. How often do we still get gifts for free? Not often. The more you can receive, the easier it will become for you to believe in yourself. Some of you will know that I often receive my feathers, and I want to share it quickly with you. Last week, I received 2 feathers. The first one was in my top drawer. I cleaned my whole drawer this morning. I repacked everything. Everything was in place. And when I opened that drawer later that afternoon, I had a bad day at work. And unfortunately, I have to work. I need to work in the corporate world for another 3 to 4 years, and then I will go and do my own thing. And that was based on decisions that my husband and I took. But when I opened my drawer later that afternoon, my white feather was right in front of me. And it's in an office environment, there's no movement. Close to my door is usually closed. I found my white feather. And then on that Friday morning, I took my brother-in-law, my late sister, husband, to breakfast. It was his birthday. And as we stepped into the breakfast restaurant, and I was heartbroken, because it's the first time that I saw him after the funeral, and we both struggled with my sister's passing. I looked down, I bent down, and I picked up my white feather. And I shared it with him. I said to him, Flip, we are going to be okay. Because in that week he heard that he also lost his job. But when I spoke to him on that Friday, he already had an opportunity for another job. And just on a white feather is the confirmation, or it's my confirmation that my angels are with me. I've been receiving my white feathers for the last 16 years. And I've got a bracelet on here, and I'm going to take it off quickly, show it to you. But I just want to say something what's written on this bracelet. It's Psalm 91 verse 11, and it says, For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And the last thing I want to say, affirmations. Let's do our affirmations. And I just want to scroll down, sorry. So there's a few that I want to share with you, and you can take which ones you would like to and make it your own. The first one is, I am a designer original. I am capable of being me. I am accepting myself just as I am, referring back to the designer original. And the last one, Sanet, I am able. I am amazing. I am beautiful. I am loved. And I am enough. And so, ladies, are all of you that's on this call tonight. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I will gladly share the some of the quotes that I referred to with you.
So my beautiful ladies, I want to say I'm so excited for UNITA. They're also going to have a beautiful conference, I think the end of November, but UNITA can tell us. And one of the speakers there is going to be Mandy. So congratulations with that, Mandy. And good luck, UNITA, with your conference, your first conference ever. I am truly so proud of you. So if I can give it all over to you to inspire us.
Thank you. There's so many things happening in my mind right now. Let me start by congratulating you. That is phenomenal. Ladies, let's just give Sanet a hand. I always say hard work pays off. It's a biblical principle. I'm proud of you. And what I also want to mention is I saw Mandy sharing something in the chat. something devastating and something sad. And I just want to say from my heart to your heart, Mandy, I love you very much. We know each other very well. My sincerest condolences for your loss. But luckily, we have this wonderful group of ladies. We have so many friends, and we can build our life from there up. And then Yaki, I mean, that was such a lovely presentation, Yaki. I mean, you just took the ball and you hit it. You knocked it out of the ballpark. I loved what you said. And I actually wrote a note here. I said, don't let the validation of others become your compass. You know who you are. You do you. So I love that. Absolutely. Give me a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing that. For the ladies on the call that do not know me yet, my name is Juanita Kapp and I'm from South Africa. I'm also a South African like my dear friend Sanet. We, of course, enjoy our lovely spring at the moment, and we are done with winter, which is a very big relief. And this evening, Sanet has asked me to share a little bit about validation. And I love the fact that these meetings, these conferences, these talks always come together the way they are supposed to. And I love the fact that Yaki spoke about receiving validation, and I'm going to speak about giving validation. And I think that is just phenomenal because we get to see both sides of validation. So thank you for that, Yaki. Thank you for being obedient to the Holy Spirit and for bringing your message. And I will attempt to fit in the other half of the message that we are supposed to bring today. So validation is to support something or to believe it to be true, to discern if it's valid. But there's a dual meaning here, and I want us to understand that dual meaning this evening. You support something, you validate something because you believe it to be true. That automatically, in the natural form, in our natural state, takes us over into action. It's a natural process. So when we give validation to someone or something, actually, we are approving it. And when we approve that person or that thing, we give it power. Because your focus is on it. So your energy is flowing there. And your energy, my sister, is powerful. And how you spend your energy is even more powerful. Now we can validate a person or a thing. We can even validate a thought. And we do this by our words. You think it and then you speak it. And that's why sometimes we have to be careful that we don't speak all that we think, because we might just bring that into our reality. What does the Bible say? The Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You think about it, you feel it, you move it over into action, it becomes a part of you. Through our thoughts, we allow feelings to set in, and we act on those feelings. And when we lean towards accepting something, we validate it. Look at social media. Look what they do. They work with us subconsciously. There are external impulses coming at us all the time to soften us to things that normally we wouldn't allow. But due to the fact that we don't even realize that this is happening, we might validate a thing or two that's not so healthy for us, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, or physically. So when we lean towards, I'm going to repeat that, when we lean towards accepting something, you're actually validating. You are giving it a place in the universe. You are speaking without even knowing it, growth over it. Not many people know this. So they waste their energy on things. And can I be very frank? On people who just want to use them, who want to tap into their energy and use them. And then they get to a place where they get burned out. Now, when you validate something or someone, it's going to set a root into your life. And unfortunately, that's true for positive as well as negative people and external impulses. When we validate the feelings that we have, think about your morning. I love Monday mornings. Mondays are my best day because it's the start of my week. I used to hate Monday mornings. I changed the way I think about Mondays. Mondays are a start of something fresh. It's a start of something I can create. Think about this morning. Let's take this morning. How did you feel when you woke up? Some of us felt positive and we acted on those feelings. We did our workout, we had our juice, we went for a newspaper read. Some of us woke up not feeling so great and we acted on that. We started developing a neck pain, which became a migraine, which led to canceling a meeting. Unfortunately, positive and negative validation is something that is out there that we are confronted with. When we validate the feelings that we have, we give them power. When we validate the people in our lives, we give them a certain power, a certain seat in our lives. What happens when we validate something positive? Let's think. It's the best feeling in the world. It feels like I'm walking on air. I'm on cloud 9. Now, what if the opposite happens? What if I validate that negative thought that is coming into my mind? What if I validate it? If I validate it, I'm giving it the power to shape my day. My purpose here this evening is to unmask validation. And I'm unmasking it as a powerful tool. But I want to ask you, ladies, because you are special and you are in control of your environment and your life. You can shape it. You have so much more control over your circumstances than you realize. How are you wielding the tool of validation? Because before you wield it, you need to make sure that you understand it. It is the defining factor between us and success. It is the defining factor between happiness and regret. And I want to use a little illustration. See yourself as a ball of energy, because really everything is made of energy. Energy it can be moved, but you cannot disperse of it. You cannot take it away or make it stop its existence. See yourself this evening as a ball of energy. When you validate, you invite something in. So if you invite something in that is positive, you will burn brighter. But when you invite something in that is negative, it will dim your energy. And I plead with you this evening, make the right choices. Have you ever heard of the saying, garbage in, garbage out? Have you heard that before? There's a reason for that. Validate, give your attention, your energy, your love, your affection only to the following. Give your attention only to situations and people that are going to be good for you. Only to situations and people, your time, your energy, your expertise, your resources. Validate only, and this is not a selfish thing. This is self-preservation. Validate only people and things that are going to be good for you. Because you know what's the wonderful thing of it all? It's going to be reciprocated. What is your natural response? It starts with me, validate people and things that are good for me. Right? What's going to happen? When they are good to me, I'm going to reciprocate that. And it's a win-win situation. And who doesn't love a win-win situation? Be careful who and what you validate. You might just invite the wrong things and people into your life. So here's my secret sauce. Here is my secret sauce and the point I want to make. Before I dare to validate something, before I let people into my lives and I tell them and I validate them and give them that power in my life, do you know what I do? And Yaki, you mentioned something. I trust my gut. If I don't feel happy and content and peaceful, I keep something at bay. Because to validate it is to bring it in. Ladies, I want to end with stay blessed and stay aware. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. Thank you so much, Yaki, for talking about receiving validation. I talked about giving validation. Make sure you make the right choices. Over to you, Sanet.
Oh, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Unita. I love it. But I want to say have a beautiful week and let us dance on Yaki's Forever song. Alexa, oh, let me just stop the recording. Otherwise, I'm going to tell